Hello guys, this is Good Game Hunter. Today I'm gonna record a tutorial, a special tutorial for War Thunder Ground Forces. Recently we had the 1.45 version of the game came out. It was a patch that introduced the new American vehicles, and I decided to make a short tutorial, especially since those American vehicles are very inclined for combat on the move. So I'm pretty sure that many people in this game, actually I've seen this happen in most of the games. Many people don't really know how to play those tanks. They play them as other tanks, and then they say, okay, this tank is not good. The tank sucks. The American line is full of crappy tanks. Well, that's not true. The American tanks, those low tier tanks, especially, and the light tanks, you can see on the first column, on the first research column, it's full of very fast light tanks. Those you may look at these and think they are sucky tanks. If you look at the bottom tier, it has 31 armor and 25 turret armor, so it basically has no armor. But instead, if you look at its speed, it goes 72 kilometers per hour. So those are really fast tanks and very maneuverable tanks. And people see these and think, okay, those are useless tanks. You can't do anything with them. But the problem is the way you play them. If you try to play them like any other tank, you will have problems. But you need to play them as scouts. You need to play them fast. You need to learn how to shoot on the move, and you need to be able to maneuver around the battlefield and never stand still. This way you increase your chances of survival, because if you stand still you are just gone. It's for the enemy to hit you in a very fast moving small tank like this one. It is very hard. So for this purpose, let's try a test drive, and I'm gonna show you a couple of tips and tricks on how to shoot on the move and how to be effective with those light and very fast American tanks. Okay, so here we are. We loaded a test drive. You can do this by yourself on your computer. This is not a multiplayer match. It's a test drive. I'm sure you've seen this before. Those are NPC tanks. So basically, the test drive puts you in an empty match with there are actually five enemy tanks, starting with the lowest tier and going up to rank 5. The last one is all the way behind that edge over there, so you can see it on the screen right now, but it is there. And there's also a moving target somewhere. Look, it's over there on the right. So you have the opportunity to test not only your driving, but you can shoot on different enemy tiers, and you can also try shooting a tank that's moving. So for this purpose, let's talk about maneuvering for a bit. Those American fast tanks. In this case, I'm using I forgot what this was. I think it's the M5A1. This is a very fast tank. It has the same speed as the Tier 1 M4A2. Well, I think it was an A1. I don't remember exactly. But the idea is that it has the same speed, but its turning rate is much better, and it's more responsive to commands, uh, including at slow speed. But most of the tanks behave in a similar manner. So I'm sorry. I'm having a bit of problems with my voice. So most of the American tanks handled similarly in terms of maneuverability. What you need to be aware of in case of, in particular with those models of tanks, the M5, M3, and M4s, they are very easily tipped over because they are tall tanks. So when you take those tight corners over tilted terrain, like I'm doing right now, so there is a small slope here, you have a chance of flipping over. So be very careful when trying to take curves over inclined terrain. Now let's talk about keeping your speed high. So there, personally, I find it that it's pointless to try to maneuver. So let's imagine that that red target over there is actually shooting at us. So there is a range of 300, almost 300 meters between us, and let's imagine they are shooting at us. Normally, what you would like to do is maneuver like this, or whatever you want to do in terms of making it harder for them to shoot you. But what I found out is that this is a pointless maneuver, and instead of trying to maneuver like this, you're better off just driving in a straight line as fast as you can, because when you try to maneuver you lose a lot of speed, and I do mean a lot of speed, and the maneuvering doesn't help you much because you are actually running parallel to the tank that's shooting at you. So it's it's not like you're zigzagging against his firing line. You are actually zigzagging perpendicularly to his firing line. So from his point of view, you're not doing anything much to make it harder for him to hit you. So instead of that, just try to get as much speed as possible, because there's a funny thing in multiplayer games. It's not only the the compensation that the enemy has to put into aiming at you, but it is also the latency which naturally occurs. So the faster you go, the more impact that latency has on aiming. So it's even harder for the enemy to hit you properly at high speed. So it's recommended you keep your speed above 55 kilometers as much as possible, and also try to navigate the terrain in such a way that you have a very smooth terrain line in front of you, because you want to be shooting at them at the same time, and I'll show you in the second part of this tutorial how to shoot on the move. So right now we are going on a very smooth playing field, which helps us with a vertical positioning of our target, of our gun. As soon as we move over rough terrain, you will see that my targeting reticle is all over the screen, and you can hit as well. So you can see how much the target bounces up and down. It's much more than it was on the playing field. So anyway, let's go back to driving. What you should do, eventually at some point you will have to turn around, obviously. So you need to avoid making tight turns. So let's try a tight turn. As you can see, I basically stopped. I drifted off and lost all my speed, and now I have to pick up all my speed again, and I'm just barely hitting 40 kilometers again. So basically all this time I was hitting target. It took me almost the entire field length to pick up my 55 kilometers again. So let me show you how you should take the curves properly. So let's pick up a 55 kilometer speed. Okay, so I'm now at 56 kilometers per hour speed, which is the top speed of this tank. And let's take the corners very smoothly, and just I'm tapping the directional key very slightly. So you can see I took a much wider curve, and I kept my speed above 45 kilometers. Actually it was above 47 kilometers, and I'm now back at 56 kilometers very fast. Another thing you need to keep in mind about this tank is that the engine is positioned in the back of the tank. Normally you would think, okay, let's try not to let the enemy hit the engine, because if they hit the engine, my tank will stop. But the problem is the tank is so lightly armored and it's so small that even if you take a shot in the front, you will lose the engine anyway. Well, it depends on the strength of the enemy gun. But personally, I find it more advantageous to have the engine shot for, because it acts like a shield. So you suck up some damage, and you can always use the extinguisher to put out the fire, and this way you save up the chances of being hit in the ammo rack, or losing a crew member, which is sometimes it's more deadly for you than just damaging your engine, because you can keep on going even if you have a damaged engine. That's not gonna kill you, but if you get ammo rack, that's it, you're done. Okay, so now for the second part of this tutorial, let's talk about shooting on the move. Firing at the targets on the move is a bit tricky. The thing that you need to realize the most is that you don't need to have a perfect shot. Those American tanks have very fast guns, they reload fast, they have a lot of ammo, so do not try to line up a perfect shot. This is what most players that play first-person shooter games will also tell you. You need to let your hand shoot on instinct. You don't have to think about it too much. Just let your fingers and hand do the work for you, and don't try to make everything conscious and try to line up perfect shot, because you will never line up the perfect shot. So let's try to see this. Bam! So that was a shot. That was a hit from the first shot, and I didn't even think about it. I just set my zoom in and let the shot loose. And another thing that you need to know is that this game, actually, I think you already know that this game has two levels of zoom. It actually has two buttons for zooming in and out. Oh shit, those okay, this was really bad. Those dragon teeth, these are called dragon teeth. They are really dangerous and strong. There is basically no tank that can destroy them. If you hit those things, you will break your tank. And since the transmission is up in the front of the tank, I just destroyed my ability to move. So let me do a quick restart here. So what I was talking about, the game has two buttons for aiming. So right now you can see the first button is switching from sniper to normal tank view mode, and the second button is for zooming in the view and out. So you can zoom the view when you're outside the tank, and you can zoom the view where you're inside the tank. Uh, so let's talk about those aiming modes for now. Uh, Usually when I want to keep an eye on my tank direction and shoot at the same time, I shoot like this. So you can see I managed to hit the target, but that was a lucky shot. It's really hard to hit targets like this at a distance, but it's very useful to do this when you need to see where your tank is going and keep a better eye on what's going on around you. The second thing I do when I need to have a better aim, but I don't really want to switch to aiming mode. I just enter one level of zoom, like this. So as you can see, I have a better aim right now, but the tank is no longer visible. So I have to rely on the small icon at the bottom left corner of my screen in order to figure out how my tank is positioned relatively to my viewing direction. This is really hard. You don't want to play like this, but it helps sometimes, and especially in inside cities when you corner around when you go around corners, because if you keep the camera like this and you go around the corner, your tank will go around the corner before your target does so, or your camera does so. But if you zoom in like this and you go around the corner, the camera will go with your tank, and you will be able to see what's around the corner much faster. That unless you want to use the sniper mode. And now the sniper mode, this is the first level of zoom, and then the second level of zoom. Uh, the thing about zooming is that the more you zoom in, while you are on the move, the more you zoom in, the more the target bounces up and down, and it makes might make your aiming harder. It depends on every player how they prefer to aim. Anyway, what I wanted to mention with this aiming thing is that you need those keys, those two buttons to be easily accessible, and you definitely do not want those buttons to be on your left hand because you need your left hand to be on the driving buttons all the time. You don't want to lose control of those small fast tanks because they do lose control really fast. And you want to you want to keep driving at top speed all the time. So what I did, this might be complicated for you, but what I did, I do have a mouse that has two extra buttons. So I bound my two zoom buttons to the extra buttons on my mouse. So I can basically control the view and my firing with my right hand, and I can easily zoom in and out, and after you get some good practice with this, it is really easy to drive and zoom out and do all these things at the same time. And this is very important when you're trying to shoot on the move, because you really need that zoom. You cannot play and drive your tank. God damn it, this is the second time this happens to me. You simply cannot shoot on the go if you don't have easy access to zooming options, because you cannot play like this. This is really impossible to control your tank direction like this and keep. Well, it is easier now because it's a lot of empty field, but on the normal maps you don't have so much empty space, and you have many obstacles. And as you can see, I already hit that dragon teeth wall two times now, so even on this empty field, it's hard to keep aware of your surroundings all the time. Anyway, I'm also trying to speak and explain things at the same time, and that takes away most of my focus from the game, and that's why I hit this thing so many times so far. Anyway, so let's get to the nice part now. Let's try shooting on the move, and I'll shut up for a minute and try to destroy this target. But first, I want to get further away from it. I want to get roughly at 500 meters. You don't want to try to shoot on the move when you are beyond 500 meters, because it is way too far and you have minimal chances of hitting your target. So when you're shooting on the move, you want to be somewhere between 400 and 500 meters, because if you get too close to your target, then your target will be much easier for them to hit you. So you want to keep it to be between 400 and 500 meters. So let me shut up for a while and try killing this target. God damn it, no! This is the fourth time. I was completely oblivious about those. Let me try to get my bearings for a while. So we have dragon teeth over there, dragon teeth over there, there, and there. Okay, are there any around this? Oh damn, there's more around here in the trench. So I'm surrounded by them. In this case, I'll try to stay on this hilltop over there, because I want to keep my distance of 500 meters, 400 meters from the target. So I need to pay more attention to those obstacles. And that was done. So you can see, I zoom in, I fire my shot, and then I look around the tank to make sure I'm not driving into one of those things anymore. I'm gonna take a slightly tight corner. I'm too far away from my target, is really okay, then we have a hit. It is really tricky to hit the target at 500 meters, but this is the optimal range for survivability purposes. You don't want to be too close to the target because you will get shot. Okay, it's time to bring up my ace in the sleeve, which is the machine gun. I'll explain things about the machine gun a bit later, why I'm shooting the machine gun and what its purpose is. So you can see right now I'm at 300 meters and it is much easier to shoot the target, but this target is not shooting back at me. So there, it's dead. This target is not shooting back at me, and well, it's easy to shoot to kill someone when you're not being fired at. But if it were firing at me, I would be very much exposed at 300 meters, which is a pretty short range. Obviously, a poor player, a newbie player, a new player will have a hard time hitting you even at 300 meters, but a good experienced player will be able to take you down at 300 meters, and then it's up to the random number generator if you get hit in a critical spot or not. So this is a higher ranked tank. It's a Panther 4 Aus C. But the good news is that I don't have to worry about those Dragon Teeth walls anymore. Now let's talk about the machine gun for a second. The new addition to the 1.45 patch, game patch, was the machine gun. You can see them, I am firing it right now. Machine guns obviously don't hurt tanks at all. You may have luck killing anti-air guns, the really weak ones that don't have armor with machine guns, but the only purpose in terms of damage of machine guns right now is to shoot down planes, and that's also hard because it's a small caliber round and it doesn't do much damage to planes. But if you manage to hit the planes and then they crash, you get credited for that kill, so that's fine also. So the main purpose of a machine gun in game right now, besides being fun to shoot and having fun with it, the main purpose of it is target acquisition. And many players don't realize this, but the machine gun is an excellent way of estimating or taking a rough estimation of where your bullets will fall. So let's try this. Let's fire the machine gun and you can see the bullets dropping off in that field. Then now let's fire our cannon. So it hit roughly on the same in the same place. What you need to be aware of is that the machine gun bullet muzzle velocity is different from the muzzle velocity of your main gun, and also the drop off of your main gun is different from the machine gun. So the further away your target is, or the further away your object that you're firing at is, the bigger the difference between the drop off points between your machine gun and the gun. So you need to be aware of this, because if you're using your machine gun to acquire your target, uh, then you need to be aware of that the main gun bullet will not drop in the same place as the machine gun, and you need to be able to compensate for that difference. But as a rough estimation, it is very good to use the machine gun when you are traversing at very fast speed. When you are shooting on the move, it's very good to use your machine gun to acquire your target. Obviously, you don't need to use your machine gun much if you're standing still, but I'll show you right in a second what I mean about using the machine gun to acquire your target. So uh, let's get a bit more distance and get into a long driving range. So I align my tank and getting myself at top speed. So let's use the machine gun to see where our bullets fall. So you can see I'm hitting the tank and I'm about one tank length behind the target. So now I know as a rough estimation where to fire my gun. I don't know where that bullet went, I have no idea. Okay, so there we go. We actually hit it. So you can use the machine gun to get a very rough estimation of where you need to shoot in order to hit your target, and then you fire your main gun to actually do damage to your target. What you need to be aware of in terms of machine gun is it also gives away your position much easier than a normal bullet. So don't abuse your machine gun. If you keep firing your machine gun all your time, everyone will know where you are because of the tracers, and it will be much easier for the enemy to start shooting at you, and you will draw a lot of attention towards you. So you can see I'm adjusting my fire based on where my bullets drop from my machine gun, and since I'm not since I'm having a slightly diagonal trajectory, I keep changing my range all the time, so I have to compensate with that also. I'm gonna shut up for a second and destroy this target, because it's really hard to talk and concentrate at the same time. Wow, I managed to get a... ouch. So you can see that the best chances of hitting your target are somewhere around 350 meters. But again, this is a position where I am very exposed to the enemy fire, so the problem is I have no choice right now because the field is covered by those dragon teeth walls, so I'm forced to shoot at this distance. Oh, by the way, I'm also recently changed my desktop table. So right now I'm using a very narrow table, and the space I have available for my mouse pad is very limited, and this is why I don't have such a good accuracy over traversing the target. Okay, the target burned down. So the problem is when you're shooting on the move, you need to compensate for the movement of your tank. So what I mean is, let me show you this. Right now I'm not moving my mouse, but I'm not moving my tank either. So what I will do now, I'm moving my tank. So you can see my target is is traversing the field along with my tank. So what I need to do, I need to keep moving my mouse towards the left. You can see right now I'm moving my mouse in order to compensate for the tank movement and keep my target on my reticle on target. Obviously, in order to do this, you need to have a lot of horizontal space available for your mouse. Because right now, for example, I'm compensating, and that's it. I ran out of table space. So you need to have a really wide mouse pad and a lot of room to move your mouse around. Oh, another thing I need to mention about shooting while on the move. You need, normally when you stand still, let's look at that moving target, where is it? So right now I'm standing still and I'm shooting at a moving target. Well, let's wait for a second and have the target move laterally to my direction. So the target is moving left, and what I need to do when I'm shooting at a moving target, I need to shoot slightly in front of it. This is called target leading. So you can see I shot slightly in front of it, and basically the target walked into my shot. When you're shooting on the move, this is exactly the opposite. So if the target is standing still, which is the case right now, my target is standing still. I need to shoot behind it because the bullet follows the movement of my tank. So if I try to shoot on the target, let's try to shoot on the target. You can see the bullet went in front of it because the bullet moves along with my tank. So even if my target, my reticle is on target, the bullet will end up falling after the target. So what I need to do is do the opposite thing I did earlier. So instead of shooting in front of the tank, I shoot in behind the tank. So let's do that. Bang! I hit the target. Let's do it again. Okay, I ran out of table space again. Oh shit! So again, what I was mentioning at the beginning of the video, you have to be really careful about those terrain features because I almost tipped my tank over. So you can see I'm shooting slightly behind the tank, and I'm managing to hit him. Bam! Right in the middle. Obviously, the amount of leading that you have to do depends on the range. So at those close distances, like I am right now, it is easy to hit the target, especially since it's a big target like that Panther. But at longer distances, it's harder to do so, and you need to use the machine guns to get a rough estimations of the target position. So let's try to do this right now. I think I'm 500 meters right now. Yep, I'm almost 500 meters. My engine is damaged because I hit a wall earlier, so I'm not going as fast as usual. So you can see I'm using my machine guns to estimate the leading. Now I fired my main gun. Again, using my machine guns, I'm just getting a rough estimation. I'm not getting an accurate value of leading. I think I may have to restart this in order to get a fresh engine repaired. Okay, I'm hitting it. Bam! That was a hit. Bam! Another hit. Bam! Another one. So I'm basically at 400, almost 500, almost 400 meters, and I'm managing to shoot constantly. I'm managing to hit the target constantly. So I managed to hit 5 shots in a row. Again, a hit. This is almost 500 meters. I need to check the range again. So I'm checking the range using machine guns again. Shooting again. Checking the range. Bam! So that was a hit on the move at 50 kilometers per hour from 600 meters, which is quite an achievement. I ran out of machine gun ammo, but I'm just gonna eyeball it. So you can see that the leading that is involved at this distance is quite considerable. I'm leading the target almost one tank length left. Oh shit! Oh, now this was a. I almost got merged with the tree. I am one with the tree. We became one. This was a nice. This was a nice collision. So let's restart and get a fresh engine. So obviously the biggest danger you have while shooting on the move and fighting on the move is not the enemy fire, which I can assure you that they will find it very difficult to shoot you. I have another video where I play it like this, and you can see over there that sometimes it is very hard for them to shoot you, and even when there are many people shooting at you, most of the hits don't connect, and even when they connect, they usually don't do much to your tank. It is very hard for them to get a proper hit on your tank while you are driving so fast. So the worst enemy you have when fighting on the move is not the enemy tanks, but the terrain itself, the terrain and the obstacles that you find. These are the worst enemies that you find, and you need to be aware of everything around you, and that's very hard to do. So let's finish off this guy. Actually, I'm not sure if I I'll be able to finish this guy off because this is a Panther tank. But maybe I can get lucky with a ammo rack or something like that. Obviously, you will never be able to aim for a particular module while you are shooting on the go. So just be satisfied that you're hitting your target. You just have to spray it with as many shots as you can. Get as many shots as you can to connect and grind it into the ground. Do damage to it. Hit modules. Hit crew. You may get lucky and pop big targets like this one. Actually, when I was running some tests before I started recording this, I managed to one-shot this guy. I hit his ammo rack. But that was one very lucky shot. I don't think it will occur again. You can see I'm not even penetrating his... I can't even penetrate his side or his rear. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention is don't try to compensate for the vertical movement of the gun, just compensate for the horizontal one. And wait for the proper moment to shoot. And when you see that the vertical point gets roughly aligned, then let your shot loose. So do not bother compensating for the vertical movement of the gun. That is impossible. It is very random and very fast. You cannot compensate with it. Just compensate for the horizontal movement and wait for the proper moment to shoot and try to hit your target. Again, don't try too hard. Don't save your shots. Just fire as much as you can. You will never get the perfect conditions for firing. You will always fire in rough conditions. So you need to fire as many shots as you can and try to make the best of them. And you will just end up hitting, let's say, 1 or 2 shots. If you manage to hit 1 or 2 shots, then you're good. That's more than okay. What you need to avoid is this thing. So never drive directly towards or directly away from your target. So right now I'm driving right towards my target, and it is much easier for me to aim, but the enemy can easily aim at me too, because I'm not having any horizontal speed towards them, which is basically defeating the purpose of firing on the move. Ouch! That tree was very close. Anyway, so for the last part of my tutorial, because this has been going on for a long time now, and we need to wrap this up, let's talk about shooting at the enemy tanks while they are moving. So up to this point we talked about shooting on the move or towards standing targets, towards targets that weren't moving, and now we are talking about shooting at targets that are also moving. So this adds an extra layer of complexity to the aiming purpose. So what you need to know, what you need to be aware of, is the direction of travel of the enemy target. If the target is traveling, actually let me get myself aligned with this guy as much as I can, because right now I'm behind him. So if the target is traveling the same way, the same direction you are traveling, you have to realize that the target is also moving with your bullet. So what we discussed earlier about shooting behind your target in order for the bullet to fall on target is no longer valid, because the target is also moving too. So what we do now, we shoot exactly on the target. Well, not exactly, maybe a little bit behind him because he's slower than me. So let's try for for his back. So you can see, because he's moving alongside with me, I don't have to shoot so much behind him. It happened when the target was fixed. So what happens is the movement of my tank gets transferred to the movement of my bullet, and since the target is also moving along the same direction, then the bullet will fall on target. Right now I'm doing the opposite thing. I'm moving the opposite direction, contrary to the target, which means that I have to do an even further leading of the target behind him. So let me turn around and and show you. Let's turn the tank around. So right now I'm moving the opposite way, and I need to shoot really behind him. Bam. So obviously this is a very short range. This was roughly 200 meters. If I do this at 400 meters, it will be even harder for me to hit him, and the amount of leading required will be just huge. So what you want to do when you are fighting enemies that are moving, ideally you want to be driving the same direction they are driving, because this is the easiest way you will be able to hit them. Again, my worst enemy is not the enemy tank itself, but the terrain. So let's run one more time for the last time and destroy that target on the move. I am very far away right now. It's very hard to hit him from this range. Let's make sure we don't hit those obstacles again. Again, I'm scouting my my distance and aiming with my machine guns. So basically, they used to do this in the War 2, not as much on tanks, but on planes. Basically, planes that had large caliber guns also had a couple small caliber guns, and they used to run tracers on the small caliber guns, and then try to acquire the target using the tracers, and then when they hit the target using the tracers, they would know how to lead the shot in order to get a connection with the large caliber gun, with the cannon. So I'm trying to apply the same tactic on the tanks. I'm finding my target with the machine gun, and then firing with my main gun. Obviously at this range I don't have to acquire my target so much, because it's really close. It's easy to hit. But this guy won't go down. Another thing to consider is that for some reasons those American tanks have a very good suspension. So they have a good suspension, and they also have a good balancing on or maybe let's call it vertical stabilization on the gun. So the amount of bouncing of the target up and down is really slow, which makes it possible for this type of fighting on the move. If you try to do this type of fighting on other tanks, you will notice that even if the tank is fast, it will be very hard for you to hit anything because the target bounces up and down so much. It's really hard to hit. So you may think right now my target is bouncing up and down very much, but that's nothing compared to other tanks. Try using a BT7 or one of those fast tier 1 panzers. You will see that the target goes all around the screen. It's pretty much impossible to connect shots. The Panzer IV is a very tough tank for my gun. The main problem you have with those, and this is an off-topic tip, but the main problem we have with those small caliber American guns is that they all fire AP rounds. So right now I'm using an AP round, and they don't have any other type of ammunition besides the APCR round. Well, basically that's an AP round too. The one on position 3 in my option box at the bottom. Let me switch ammo types right now. So I'm switching to a better AP round. This is still an AP round, so that's armor piercing for you. But I think it's called armor piercing capped shell. So it has slightly better penetration and slightly, I'm not sure, but I think it has slightly better fragmentation also. I don't know. In case you're not aware of this, the ammo types are very important. This is not all the tanks. The ammo types affect the gameplay immensely. So depending on what type of ammo you use, you will achieve different results. And you need to learn exactly what type of ammo there is in the game and how each ammo type behaves, and once you learn what you learn about each ammo type, you will be able to play much more effectively. So the only drawback I have with those American tanks, the fast ones, the ones that mount the 35mm gun, and there are a lot of them, is that there is no ballistic capped shell. The ballistic cap shells are basically exploding shells that once they penetrate the enemy armor, they detonate inside the enemy tank, and they cause a lot of damage, a lot of fragmentation. The AP shells, which I'm using right now, they don't explode at all. They are just basic metal slugs. They just penetrate the armor, if they penetrate it at all, and that is it. So obviously many people, especially newbies, that got hold of the American tanks and kept shooting and shooting and shooting, and they were complaining, okay, nothing happens, I shot that guy for 10 times and nothing happened. Well, nothing happens because the bullet doesn't fragmentate. So you can see, you just saw right now on the bullet time camera, it penetrated the tank, but only fragmented into three fragments. So the fragmentation, again, you saw only three fragments, so, which is very low. So the more your shell fragmentates inside the enemy tank, the more chances you have to cause some damage. As you saw, my last shot didn't fragment at all, it just went straight to and didn't hit anything, so basically nothing happened. So again, you can see this, my previous shot again penetrated and didn't fragment at all, so nothing happened again. Again, another shot penetrated and no fragmentation. So I can do this all day. I can shoot the enemy tank and have no fragmentation, and many of the times, if the bullet doesn't hit anything critical, it doesn't hit a crew member, it doesn't hit a module, it's like you didn't achieve anything. Because this is not all the times. The tank doesn't have a hit point bar or a life bar. You need to actually cause damage to stuff in order to destroy the tank. You need to destroy the modules in order to to cause the enemy tank, not to be able to use those modules. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think you need to destroy the majority of the tank members in order to cause the tank to be taken out. So basically, the more crew members the tank has, the harder it is for you to destroy. So I think if you manage to destroy all the crew members except one, then that tank is declared destroyed and it will be removed. So let's say the enemy tank has 3 members. That means you have to destroy 2 members in order for the tank to blow up. Well, basically it doesn't blow up, but it's considered destroyed and the tank is respawned. So if the enemy tank has 6 members, then you need to take out 5 members in order for it to be removed from the game. So that is why many times when you find tanks in game that have many crew members, it will be very hard for you to destroy them, and many players wonder why they are shooting like 20 rounds into the enemy tank and the tank doesn't get destroyed. That's because they have many members inside the crew, and if you're not hitting an ammo rack to blow it up, or if you're not hitting a fuel tank in order to burn it, then you're not achieving anything. So you can see right now I hit the ammo rack, but the ammo didn't detonate. Luckily, I did hit its fuel tank earlier, and since this is an NPC and there's nobody in it to use the extinguishers, it burned until it exploded. So many of the tanks that have multiple machine guns, for example, the T-28 is a very good example, and also the M2 American tank. And there are many other low-tier tanks that have like 6 crew members. Most of them are machine gunners, but they do have double roles. So even if you take out a machine gunner, there will be 4 more left. So that makes the tank incredibly resistant. So it is not the tank itself that makes it last very long, because the armor is pretty weak on a T-28. It is actually the huge amount of tank members that are inside of it which makes it so sturdy. And this is why many people don't understand. Many people that don't understand this system find it very annoying that they shoot tanks over and over and over and they don't blow up. That is because mostly because of the crew and because of their ammo type. So always pay attention to 2 things. Pay attention to the ammo type you're using. Keep in mind that in order to destroy a tank, you must destroy the majority of its crew up to 1 member left. So if there is 1 member left alive, you don't need to destroy that. It will just be destroyed anyway, because 1 member cannot operate a tank alone. You need at least 2 people inside the tank to operate the tank. So if you killed everyone but 1, that means you killed the tank. And also, in order to kill the tank, the best choices you have is either hit the ammo rack, which is a bit harder to do, and you need to know exactly what that ammo rack is. Or a much easier thing is to hit fuel tanks and keep hitting them, because most of the times the enemy will have fire extinguishers to use and extinguish the fire. But if you keep hitting them, you can only use a fire extinguisher, I think, twice or 3 times. I don't know exactly. So you cannot use it infinitely. At some point, if the enemy keeps shooting you in the fuel tank, will burn out. And obviously, there's also the possibility that the fire is critical and burns your ammo rack and detonates your tank and kills your crew members. So, fire tank, ammo rack, and lastly, crew members. That's your priority in hitting your enemy. And again, the more fragmentation you have, in your ammo, the best your chances of destroying the target is. Also, one last thing for this video, because we went off a long time and we covered 2 subjects when we were only supposed to cover the fighting on the move. So one last thing, since we talked about ammo, contrary to popular belief, many people will think that heat rounds, they are called HEAT, heat rounds. They are called high explosives anti-tank rounds. Many people, because they are called high explosives, they think that those rounds are actually exploding inside the enemy tank, which is completely wrong. Heat rounds are not do not explode inside the enemy tanks. It is the ballistic cap shells that explode inside the enemy tank. And you will, if you look at the ballistic cap shells inside your modifications panel of your tank in the lobby, you will see that the ballistic cap shells have a fuse delay. That's basically the time that it takes for the cap to explode once it hits the target, it hits the armor. And that time is measured in actual distance. You will see it in 0.8, 0.5, 0 point something meters. So that is the distance traveled by the bullet until it explodes, since it hits the first piece of metal that it encounters. And this is also affected by spaced armor, as you can imagine. But that we won't go into that right now. So hit rounds, the ones that are called high explosive anti-tank hit rounds, those are not explosive rounds. Well, actually they are explosive, but not in the way you would imagine. If you want to get a good description on this thing, just go in YouTube and search for hit sabot. That's HEATSABOT. There are videos about real hit ammunition, real life hit ammunition, which explain the mechanics of hit ammunition. Basically, inside the hit ammunition there is a shaped charge, and it looks like a cone of copper. And when the shell hits the target or anything on its slide path, it will detonate the explosive behind that cone of copper, and that explosive will melt the cone of copper into a molten jet of copper. So that jet of copper, which is a couple of thousand degrees hot, will just burn through your armor. And it's basically unstoppable. It doesn't matter how strong your steel is, because that jet of copper doesn't penetrate your steel in a hard collision method. It just melts through it. So that is why in game you will see that all the hit ammunition will have the same penetration value regardless of the range. It is the same. It is the only ammo type that has a constant penetration value regardless of the range it hits. So you will see hit rounds that have 80 millimeters at 1000 meters, or they will have 80 millimeters at 2000 meters. It doesn't matter the range, the penetration is the same. And why is that? Because the penetration doesn't come from the mass, the actual inertia of the projectile itself, which is driven by muzzle velocity and mass. The penetration value comes from the intensity and the size of the molten copper jet. So the way hit ammo works is, the larger caliber the ammo is, the more penetration it has. Because if you have a larger caliber round, automatically you also have a larger copper cone, which translates into a longer jet of molten copper, which obviously means more armor penetration. Anyway, coming back to that, again, hit ammo doesn't explode inside the enemy tank. The fragmentation is pretty small, so the best ammunition you have is armor piercing ballistic capped shells. Those are the best ammunition additions we have. APCR rounds are the weakest rounds in terms, even if you see they have a very high penetration value, that doesn't help you much because the fragmentation is almost null. So even if you penetrate the enemy tank, it is very likely you will not do anything to it because it doesn't fragment it at all. So guys, if you want to achieve the best results, use armor piercing ballistic capped shells. Those are the best shells you can shoot. Only use hit rounds and what's it called and APCR or AP rounds if you don't have any other choice, or if you really want to penetrate the target and you know exactly how to shoot and where to shoot in order to detonate an ammo rack or hit a fuel tank, something like that. So if you're just hitting the target wherever you manage to hit it, like I am right now, the best ammo is the ballistic capture. Anyway, so that was it for this tutorial. I hope it helps many people out. The aiming and shooting, also the ammo explanation. I know when I started playing this game, it was very hard for me to understand the ammo types. Right now, the explosive shells I still don't understand fully perfect. I know that when you hit the enemy armor with explosive shells, there's basically a shockwave that is generated, and that shockwave has a chance of creating fragmentation inside the tank from the actual armor that is being hit. So what happens is that the shockwave is so strong that the metal armor fragments inside the tank, and it is the armor itself, fragments from the armor itself, that kill the crew and hurt modules. However, high explosive shells are useless most of the times because they are low caliber compared to the armor that is being hit. So for example, right now I'm shooting HE rounds, but my caliber is only 35 millimeters, which means the shockwave generated by the explosion is very weak, and I'm basically not doing anything to the tank. So high explosive rounds are very good, and I do mean very good if you have a large caliber weapon. If you have like a 100 millimeter, 122, 152, the bigger the caliber it is, the more effective the high explosive rounds are. Anyway, so that's it. Let's stop this video here before I diverge into another thing, because there are so many things to talk about in this game. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you find some use to what I talked about in this video, and please share and like this if you find it useful. So goodbye, and see you again on the battlefield. Bye bye.